Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. Today I am pleased to present a demonstration of one of the hottest and scarcest new watches of 2024. Just released this March, it is the Tudor Black Bay Chrono Pink. According to Tudor itself, only a small number of examples will be produced, and it is quite special. A three-way effort by football great David Beckham, Taiwanese pop culture superpower Jay Cho, and Tudor itself. This watch is built on the successful 2017 to present Black Bay Chrono, but it adds a striking new pink dial and an entirely new and fresh 5-link bracelet design. So what hath the three of them wrought? Let's find out. It uses the existing 41mm Black Bay Chrono case in steel. As my calipers measure, this is 14.6 millimeters thick, and then from lug tip to lug tip, 50.1 millimeters, with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference. We're going to throw this on my wrist and get a sense of how it fits. As you can see, the watch is neither undersized nor oversized, but right-sized. A modern men's sports complication. It fits well, and I would even say you could probably wear this watch on a wrist down to 15 centimeters circumference. Here's your down the barrel shot, which is really the definitive fit angle. This one proving that the watch will surprisingly fit under a number of shirt sleeve cuffs, also just about all jacket cuffs. So especially with the new 5-link bracelet, if you want to wear this formally, you definitely can. You need the panache to pull off a pink dial, but I have faith in you. And of course, it is a sports watch in every regard. The bracelet, though, gives it that versatility. A 5-link design similar to that debuted on the other Black Bay models in 2023. You can see it features a conforming end link to better mate it to the case. We have satin finished primary shoulder links and then intermediates with staggered alignment and polish down the center. You can see it tapers down toward the clasp. Outer faces are polished for contrast. We have removable links fixed by screws, and quite a few of them, so you should be able to finely size this to suit. Now, the clasp features Tudor's T-fit system, which gives you several different increments of adjustment. You can move it in and out. As you can see, there are several lockable stations over a full range of 8 millimeters, so you can really use this to fine-tune fit on the fly. It's wonderful for that. We have a single fold deployment with internally polished and externally polished and satinated thick gauge stainless steel. You can see within and without we have these ceramic spring-loaded pin snaps, and their purpose, because the steel cannot aggress against them and wear them down, they maintain the snappy and fresh factory tolerances of the clasp year after year, decade after decade. So that's why those are there. Now you can see we have a little Tudor Shield logo here, as well as on the dial. Now this is the mid-1968 to present Tudor logo, but if you want to look on the crown, you have the previous Tudor logo, the Heritage logo, the rose. You actually have both hiding out on the watch. The case, although not a dive watch, this is not part of the Black Bay dive family. Still, these are all aquatic watches, so 200 meters water resistant with screw-down pushers and crown. You can see meters first in red on the dial. 200 meters, roughly 660 feet. The watch features a case with a combination of satin and polish for contrast, as well as these lovely nostalgic vintage-inflected narrow bevels on the lugs. Also vintage-inflected, because Tudor is very conscious of its history. We have a bezel with a polished outer face and then an anodized aluminum insert in black. Now this is a tachymeter scale. Tachymeters are used to gauge speed. So the way this would work conventionally is you start the chronograph. We're going to imagine that your race car is starting a kilometer. That makes things easy. So you start the chrono when it passes the start point of the kilometer, and you stop the chrono when it passes the end point of the kilometer. You look next to the hand. What's that on the bezel? 400 kilometers per hour. That race car is really moving. Now, if you're really good with mental decimals, you can use this for slower vehicles, such as racing cycles, as Tudor is very heavily into professional road cycling these days. That would also be appropriate. We have a vintage-inspired, heavily domed and cambered sapphire designed to evoke the plexiglass and thermoplastic crystals on Tudor watches from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. So another nod to the past. Once you're within the dial, we have this handset, which is an acknowledgement of the Tudor submariners from the late 60s through the mid-70s, the so-called snowflakes. And then we have this lovely chaptering scale, which can be used for reading minutes, but also chronograph seconds and chronograph fractions of seconds. Listen to this. It's a very solid, snappy, and positive column wheel function selector. It feels good, it sounds good, it's a make or break feature on a chronograph, and here it definitely makes the experience. Also, look at the chronograph seconds hand here. When I start things up, there's no jump, no stagger, no extraneous movement because of the use of a seamless vertical clutch engagement. Now, the other advantage of a vertical clutch is if you wish to have your chrono running full time, you can leave it running with no additional hazard, wear, or tear on the watch. But let's not forget the pièce de résistance, which is this pink dial. It is a favorite of Jay Cho. He is inextricably linked to the color. It's also very popular and symbolic of the prolific millennial generation of watch collectors, many of whom favor Tudor. And of course, it is the jersey color of David Beckham's Inter Miami Football Club, so it works on all three levels. And of course, Tudor, since the day before this watch came out, on March 27th, the official timing sponsor of Inter Miami. It is a dial that could be described as a Panda dial because we do have the dark on light, but it is a pink Panda dial with the black registers on this granular matte pink base. We have upscale metal applique hour indices. We're going to take a quick look, do a loom shot. There it is. No problem reading in the dark. You can almost light your way with that. We also have a few interesting features here. We have semi-instantaneous jumping minutes, and unlike other versions of this MT5813 architecture, here we have a very rare 45-minute display. Most chronographs, including other versions of this architecture, are 30 minutes. On the Black Bay Chrono, it's 45, which is a real feather in its cap and a point of differentiation. Also, if you want to set the watch precisely, there is a hacking or stop seconds mode, and should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month, there is also a quick set for the date. Always welcome. Taking a look at the case back, it doesn't betray what lies within. You can see it has a nicely finished satinated case back, which is Tudor tradition. The 5813 is an automatic winder with a 70-hour power reserve, right up on the cusp of 3 days, a 4 Hz beat rate. Upgrades made by Tudor include a anti-magnetic silicon hairspring rather than a ferrous hairspring, and a Tudor free-sprung balance architecture, which makes it both easier to adjust precisely and more shock tolerant. Pursuant to that, it has a 5-position adjustment and a COSC chronometer certification. Now, the COSC test over roughly 2 weeks in 5 positions at several temperatures is a real feather in the cap of the few mechanical watches that earn that distinction, and this watch has that distinction. It works on many levels. It's fashion, it's engineering, it's football, it's music, it's Tudor, it's a dress watch, it's a sports watch. Now, this example is for demonstration purposes only, but if you have interest, reach out to us. Email tmosso@the1916company.com, and we will pass it up the chain of command.